The Adventure of the Egyptian Tomb. Adapted by Agatha Christie. I have always thought that one of the most exciting and dramatic adventures I had with Poirot was when we looked into the strange deaths that happened after the discovery and opening of the tomb of King Men-Her-Ra. Soon after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun by Lord Carnarvon, Sir John Willard and Mr. Bleibner of New York were working on their dig not far from Cairo, near the pyramids of Giza. They unexpectedly found a group of funeral rooms. Their discovery caused great interest. The tomb seemed to belong to King Men-Her-Ra, one of the unknown kings of the 8th dynasty, a time when the old kingdom of Egypt was falling apart. Not much was known about this time, so the newspapers wrote a lot about what was found. Then, something happened that really caught the public's attention. Sir John Willard died very suddenly from heart failure. The more dramatic newspapers quickly used the chance to bring back all the old stories about bad luck linked to Egyptian treasures. The story of the unlucky mummy at the British Museum, an old tale told many times before, was brought back with new excitement. The museum denied it again, but people still enjoyed talking about it. 2 weeks later, Mr. Bleibner died from serious blood poisoning, and a few days after that, his nephew shot himself in New York. People began talking a lot about the curse of Men-Her-Ra, and the power of ancient Egypt was talked about as if it were real magic. That was when Poirot got a short note from Lady Willard, the wife of the dead archaeologist, asking him to come and see her at her house in Kensington Square. I went with him. Lady Willard was a tall, thin woman, dressed in deep black clothes. Her tired and worn-out face clearly showed how sad she was. "It is kind of you to come so quickly, Monsieur Poirot." "I am here to help you, Lady Willard. You wanted to speak with me?" "I know you are a detective, but I don't just want to talk to you as a detective. I know you have special ways of thinking. You have imagination, and you know a lot about the world. Tell me, Monsieur Poirot, what do you think about the supernatural?" Poirot waited a moment before he answered. He looked like he was thinking carefully. Finally, he said, "Let's be clear with each other, Lady Willard. You are not asking me a general question. You are thinking about something personal, aren't you? You are talking in a roundabout way about your husband's death?" "Yes, that's true," she said. "You want me to look into how he died?" "I want you to find out for me how much of what the newspapers say is just talk, and how much might be true. 3 deaths, Monsieur Poirot. Each one can be explained by itself, but all 3 happening together seems like too much of a coincidence, and all within 1 month of opening the tomb. Maybe it's just an old belief. Maybe it's some strong curse from the past working in ways modern science can't understand. But the fact is, 3 deaths. And I'm afraid, Monsieur Poirot, terribly afraid. I don't think it's over yet." "For whom are you afraid?" "For my son. When I heard that my husband had died, I was sick. My son, who had just finished his studies at Oxford, went out there. He brought the body home, but now he has gone back again, even though I begged him not to. He is so interested in the work that he wants to take his father's place and continue the digging. You may think I'm a foolish, easily scared woman, but Monsieur Poirot, I am truly afraid. What if the spirit of the dead king is still angry? Maybe you think I'm talking nonsense." "No, not at all, Lady Willard," said Poirot quickly. "I also believe in the power of superstition. It is one of the strongest forces the world has ever known." I looked at him in surprise. I never would have thought that Poirot believed in superstitions, but the little man clearly meant what he said. "What you really want is for me to protect your son. I will do my best to keep him safe." "Yes, in a normal way, but what about against something magical or mysterious?" "In books from the Middle Ages, Lady Willard, you will find many ways to stop black magic. Maybe they knew more than we do now, even with all our modern science. Now, let's talk about facts, so I can be better guided. Your husband had always loved the study of Egypt, hadn't he?" "Yes, ever since he was young. He was one of the top experts in the world." "But Mr. Bleibner, I've heard, was more like an amateur." "Oh yes, very much so. He was a very rich man who liked to get involved in anything that seemed interesting to him. My husband got him interested in Egyptology, and his money was a great help in paying for the trip and the work. And the nephew, what do you know about what he liked? Was he part of the group at all? I don't think so. In fact, I didn't even know he existed until I read about his death in the newspaper. I don't think he and Mr. Bleibner were close at all. Mr. Bleibner never talked about having any family. Who else was in the group? Well, there's Dr. Toswell, a small official connected to the British Museum, Mr. Schneider from the Metropolitan Museum in New York, a young American secretary, Dr. Ames, who came with the group as their doctor, and Hassan, my husband's loyal native servant. Do you remember the name of the American secretary? Harper, I think, but I'm not sure. I know he hadn't been working for Mr. Bleibner very long. He seemed like a very nice young man. Thank you, Lady Willard. If there's anything else... For now, nothing. Please leave it to me, and know that I will do everything I can to keep your son safe. These words didn't sound very comforting, and I saw Lady Willard flinch when he said them. But at the same time, the fact that he didn't laugh at her fears seemed to calm her a little. As for me, I had never guessed before that Poirot believed in superstition so strongly. I asked him about it as we walked home. He looked serious and calm. But yes, Hastings, I believe in these things. You must not think superstition has no power. What are we going to do about it? Always practical. You, good Hastings. Very well. First, we are going to send a telegram to New York to get more details about young Mr. Bleibner's death. He sent the telegram. The answer came back clearly and with lots of details. Young Rupert Bleibner had been struggling for years. He had lived as a beachcomber and a remittance man, a man who is paid to stay away, on several islands in the South Seas, but had come back to New York 2 years ago, where his life got worse and worse. The most important detail, in my opinion, was that he had recently borrowed enough money to go to Egypt. I have a good friend there who can help me, he had said. But things did not go as planned. He returned to New York angry at his uncle, calling him a stingy old man who cared more about the bones of dead kings than his own family. It was during Rupert's stay in Egypt that Sir John Willard died. Rupert went back to his wild lifestyle in New York and then, without warning, killed himself. He left behind a letter with strange and emotional words. It sounded like he wrote it during a sudden feeling of guilt. He called himself a leper, a person who is hated and avoided, and an outcast, and ended the letter by saying that people like him were better off dead. A dark idea jumped into my mind. I had never truly believed in the revenge of a long-dead Egyptian king. I saw this as a modern crime. What if this young man had planned to kill his uncle, maybe by using poison, but by accident? Sir John Willard got the poison instead. The young man went back to New York, haunted by what he had done. When he heard his uncle was dead, he realized his crime had been for nothing. Full of guilt, he killed himself. I told Poirot my theory. He was interested. That is clever, very clever what you've thought of, he said. It might even be true, but you are forgetting about the deadly power of the tomb. I shrugged. You still believe that has something to do with it? I believe in it so much, mon ami, my friend, that we are going to Egypt tomorrow. What? I shouted, surprised. I have said it. A proud look came over Poirot's face like he had done something brave. Then he groaned. But oh, he moaned, the sea! I hate the sea! It was a week later. Under our feet was the golden sand of the desert. The hot sun was shining strongly above us. Poirot, looking very unhappy, was drooping beside me. The little man did not travel well. Our 4-day trip by ship from Marseille had been full of pain for him. When we landed at Alexandria, he was like a ghost of his usual self. Even his usual neat and tidy look was gone. We reached Cairo and drove straight to the Mina House Hotel, right next to the pyramids. I was already feeling the magic of Egypt, but not Poirot. He dressed exactly as he did in London, carried a small clothes brush in his pocket, and kept brushing off the dust that gathered on his dark suit. "And my boots!" he cried. "Look at them, Hastings, my smart, shiny leather boots. The sand is inside them, it hurts my feet, and it's on the outside too, it hurts my eyes. And the heat, it makes my moustaches droop. They are so soft now. limp. Look at the Sphinx, I said. Even I can feel its mystery and beauty. Poirot looked at it with dislike. It does not look happy, he said. How could it be? It is half covered in sand and looks messy. Ah, this awful sand. Come now, there's a lot of sand in Belgium, I said, thinking about a holiday we had taken at Nocker-sur-Mer in the middle of what the guidebook called Les Dunes Impeccables, the perfect sand dunes. Not in Brussels, said Poirot. He looked at the pyramids, thinking. It is true that they have a strong solid shape, very neat and geometrical, but their surface is rough and not nice to look at. And the palm trees, I do not like them. They are not even planted in straight rows. I stopped his complaining by suggesting we go to the camp. We were going to ride camels there. The camels were kneeling quietly, waiting for us to get on. Several boys in colourful clothes were looking after them, led by a very talkative dragoman, a local guide who helps travellers. I won't go into detail about Poirot riding a camel. He started with groans and complaints, and ended with loud cries, waving arms, and calling out to the Virgin Mary and every saint he could think of. In the end, he gave up and finished the trip on a tiny donkey. I must say, riding a fast-moving camel is not easy if you're not used to it. I was sore for several days. At last, we reached the place where the digging was going on. A sunburned man with a grey beard, dressed in white clothes and wearing a helmet, came out to meet us. Monsieur Poirot and Captain Hastings, we got your telegram. I'm sorry no one was there to meet you in Cairo. Something unexpected happened that completely changed our plans. Poirot turned pale. His hand had been reaching for his clothes brush, but it stopped. Not another death? He whispered. Yes. Sir Guy Willard, I shouted. No, Captain Hastings. My American colleague, Mr. Schneider. And what was the cause? Asked Poirot. Tetanus, he replied. I turned pale. All around me I felt a strange and scary feeling in the air. A terrible thought rushed through my mind. What if I was the next one? Mon Dieu, my God, said Poirot in a very quiet voice. I don't understand this. It is terrible. Tell me, monsieur, are you sure it was tetanus? I believe so, but Dr. Ames can tell you more than I can. Ah, of course, you are not the doctor. My name is Toswill. So this was the British expert Lady Willard had told us about. Just a small official from the British Museum. There was something serious and calm about him that I liked right away. If you will come with me, said Dr. Toswill, I will take you to Sir Guy Willard. He was very eager to know the moment you arrived. We walked across the camp to a big tent. Dr. Toswill lifted the flap, and we went inside. 3 men were sitting there. Monsieur Poirot and Captain Hastings have arrived, Sir Guy, said Toswill. The youngest of the 3 men stood up quickly and came forward to greet us. There was something quick and full of feeling in the way he moved that reminded me of his mother. He wasn't as sunburned as the others, and because of that, along with the tired look around his eyes, he looked older than 22. It was clear that he was trying hard to stay strong under a lot of stress. He introduced the other 2 men, Dr. Ames, who looked confident and was about 30 years old, with some grey hairs at the sides of his head, and Mr. Harper, the secretary, a friendly, thin young man who wore horn-rimmed glasses, the kind many Americans wore. After a few minutes of light conversation, Mr. Harper went out, and Dr. Toswill followed him. We were left alone with Sir Guy and Dr. Ames. Please feel free to ask any questions, Monsieur Poirot, said Willard. We are completely shocked by these strange events, but it can't be anything more than bad luck. His nervous tone didn't really match his words. I could tell that Poirot was watching him closely. Do you truly love this work, Sir Guy? Of course. No matter what happens or how bad it gets, the work must go on. That's a promise. Poirot quickly turned toward the other man. What do you say to that, Monsieur le Docteur, Mr. Doctor? Asked Poirot. Well, said the doctor slowly, I'm not planning to leave either. Poirot made one of his usual expressive faces. Then, Evidemon, obviously, we must find out where we stand. When did Mr. Schneider die? 3 days ago. Are you sure it was tetanus? Absolutely sure. Could it have been strychnine poisoning, for example? No, Monsieur Poirot. I understand what you're thinking, but it was clearly a case of tetanus. Did you give him anti-serum? Of course we did, said the doctor in a dry voice. We tried everything possible. Did you have the anti-serum with you? No, we got it from Cairo. Have there been any other cases of tetanus in the camp? No, not one. Are you sure that Mr. Bleibner did not die from tetanus? Asked Poirot. Completely sure. He had a cut on his thumb that got infected, and it turned into blood poisoning. It might sound the same to someone who's not a doctor, but the two things are completely different. So we have 4 deaths, all very different. One from heart failure, one from blood poisoning, one suicide, and one from tetanus. Exactly, Monsieur Poirot. Are you sure there is nothing that connects all 4 of them? I don't quite understand what you mean. I will say it clearly. Did any of those 4 men do something that could be seen as disrespectful to the spirit of Men-Her-Ra? The doctor stared at Poirot in surprise. You're talking nonsense, Monsieur Poirot. Surely you haven't been tricked into believing all that silly talk. Complete nonsense, said Willard angrily. Poirot stayed calm and still, blinking slowly with his green cat-like eyes. So you don't believe it, Monsieur le Docteur, Mr. Doctor? No, sir, I do not, said the doctor firmly. I am a man of science, and I only believe in what science can prove. Was there no science then in ancient Egypt? Asked Poirot quietly. He didn't wait for an answer, and Dr. Ames looked a little confused for a moment. No, don't answer that. But tell me this. What do the native workers think? I think, said Dr. Ames, that when white people get scared, the local workers won't be far behind. I'll admit they're starting to get nervous, but they don't have a real reason to be. I wonder, said Poirot without giving a clear opinion. Sir Guy leaned forward. Surely, he cried in disbelief, you can't really believe in that kind of thing. Oh, it's just silly. You must not know much about ancient Egypt if you believe that. Instead of replying, Poirot took a small book out of his pocket. It was old and torn. I saw the title, The Magic of the Egyptians and Chaldeans. Then, turning around quickly, he walked out of the tent. The doctor looked at me in surprise. What is his little idea? That phrase, so often said by Poirot himself, made me smile when I heard it from someone else. I don't know exactly, I admitted. I think he has some plan to chase away the evil spirits. I went to look for Poirot and found him talking to the thin young man who'd been Mr. Bleibner's secretary. No, Mr. Harper was saying, I've only been with the team for 6 months. Yes, I knew Mr. Bleibner's business fairly well. Can you tell me anything about his nephew? He showed up here one day, not a bad-looking guy. I had never met him before, but some of the others had. Ames, I think, and Schneider. The old man wasn't happy to see him. They started arguing right away, really loudly. Not a cent, the old man shouted. Not 1 cent now, or after I'm dead. I'm leaving my money to support the work I've spent my life on. I've been talking about it with Mr. Schneider today. And a bit more like that. Young Bleibner left for Cairo right after that. Was he in good health at the time? The old man? No, the young one. I think he said there was something wrong with him, but it couldn't have been serious or I'd remember better. One more thing. Did Mr. Bleibner leave a will? As far as we know, he didn't. Are you staying with the team, Mr. Harper? Asked Poirot. No, sir, I'm not. I'm going back to New York as soon as I've finished things up here. You can laugh if you want, but I'm not going to be the next victim of this cursed Men-Her-Ra. If I stay, he'll get me. The young man wiped the sweat from his forehead. Poirot turned away. Over his shoulder, he said with a strange smile, Remember, he got one of his victims in New York. Oh, hell, said Mr. Harper strongly. That young man is very nervous, said Poirot thoughtfully. He's right on the edge, really on the edge. I looked at Poirot with interest, but his mysterious smile didn't tell me anything. Later, along with Sir Guy Willard and Dr. Toswell, we were shown around the excavation site. The most important objects had already been taken to Cairo, but some of the things left in the tomb were still very interesting. The young baronet, Sir Guy, was clearly excited, but I thought I saw a hint of nervousness in him too, like he still couldn't fully shake off the feeling that something was wrong. When we entered the tent that had been given to us, to wash up before dinner, a tall, dark man in white robes stepped aside to let us pass. He made a graceful movement and said a quiet greeting in Arabic. Poirot stopped. "You are Hassan, the servant of the late Sir John Willard." "I served Lord Sir John. Now I serve his son." He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "They say you are wise and know how to deal with evil spirits. Tell the young master to leave this place. There is evil in the air around us." And with a sudden movement, without waiting for an answer, he walked away. "Evil in the air," Poirot repeated quietly. "Yes, I feel it." Our dinner was not very cheerful. Most of the talking was done by Dr. Toswell, who spoke for a long time about old Egyptian history and objects. Just as we were getting ready to go to bed, Sir Guy grabbed Poirot's arm and pointed. A shadowy figure was moving between the tents. It didn't look like a normal person. I clearly saw the shape of a figure with a dog's head, the same one I had seen carved on the tomb walls. My blood felt cold with fear. "Mon Dieu! My God!" whispered Poirot, making the sign of the cross quickly. "Anubis, the jackal-headed god, the god of souls that are leaving this world." "Someone is playing a trick on us!" shouted Dr. Toswell angrily, jumping to his feet. "It went into your tent, Harper," said Sir Guy quietly, his face very pale. "No," said Poirot, shaking his head. "It went into Dr. Ames's tent." The doctor looked at him in disbelief. Then, repeating what Dr. Toswell had said, he shouted, "Someone is playing a trick on us. Come on, we'll catch him right now." He ran quickly after the shadowy figure. I followed him, but no matter how hard we searched, we couldn't find any sign that a real person had passed that way. We came back, feeling a little uneasy, and found Poirot taking action, in his own special way, to keep himself safe. He was busy drawing shapes and signs in the sand all around our tent. I saw that he was drawing the five-pointed star, or pentagon, many times. As usual, Poirot was also giving a short lecture as he worked. He was talking about witchcraft and magic, white magic, used for good, versus black magic, used for harm. He also mentioned things like the Ka, the spirit in ancient Egyptian belief, and the Book of the Dead. Dr. Toswell clearly didn't believe any of it. He pulled me to the side, snorting with anger. "Nonsense, sir," he said angrily. "Complete nonsense. That man is a fake. He doesn't even know the difference between superstitions from the Middle Ages and the real beliefs of ancient Egypt. I've never heard such a mix of silly ideas and blind belief." I tried to calm the upset expert and then went back into the tent to join Poirot. My little friend looked very pleased. "Now we can sleep peacefully," he said happily. "And I really need some sleep. My head hurts terribly. Oh, if only I had a nice tisane, a herbal tea." As if someone had heard his wish, the flap of the tent lifted, and Hassan came in, carrying a hot cup, which he gave to Poirot. It turned out to be chamomile tea, a drink Poirot loves very much. After thanking Hassan and saying no to his offer of a cup for me, we were left alone again. After I got ready for bed, I stood at the tent door for a while, looking out at the desert. "A wonderful place," I said out loud, "and wonderful work. I can really feel the pull of it. This desert life, this search into the heart of a long-lost world. Surely, Poirot, you must feel the charm too?" There was no answer, and I turned, feeling a little annoyed, but that feeling quickly turned to worry. Poirot was lying back across the simple couch, his face twisted in pain. Beside him was the empty cup. I ran to him, then rushed out of the tent and across the camp to Dr. Ames's tent. "Dr. Ames!" I shouted. "Come quickly!" "What's wrong?" asked the doctor, coming out in his pajamas. "My friend, he's sick, maybe dying. The chamomile tea, don't let Hassan leave the camp." The doctor ran to our tent like lightning. Poirot was still lying just as I had left him. "Strange," said Ames. "It looks like a seizure. Or, what did you say about something he drank?" He picked up the empty cup. "Only I did not drink it," said a calm voice. We turned in shock. Poirot was sitting up on the bed. He was smiling. "No," he said softly, "I did not drink it. While my good friend Hastings was speaking to the night, I used the time to pour the tea, not into my mouth but into a little bottle. That bottle will be sent to a special lab for testing. No, he added quickly as the doctor moved. As a smart man, you know that fighting won't help. While Hastings was gone to get you, I had enough time to hide the bottle somewhere safe. Ah, quick, Hastings, stop him! I didn't understand why Poirot was so worried. Wanting to protect him, I jumped in front of him. But the doctor's quick move meant something else. His hand went to his mouth, and the air suddenly smelled like bitter almonds. He swayed and fell forward. Another victim, said Poirot seriously, but the last. Maybe this was the best ending. He caused 3 deaths. Dr. Ames, I shouted, shocked. But I thought you believed all this was because of a magic curse. You misunderstood me, Hastings. What I meant was that I believe in the powerful force of superstition. Once people start to believe that a series of deaths are caused by something supernatural, you could almost stab someone in daylight, and people would still blame the curse. The idea of magic or curses is very strong in the human mind. From the beginning, I suspected that someone was using that belief for their own gain. I think the idea came to him after Sir John Willard died. Right away, everyone started talking about a curse. As far as I could tell, no one had anything to gain from Sir John's death. But Mr. Bleibner was a different story. He was a rich man. The message I got from New York had some interesting details. First, young Bleibner was said to have told someone he had a good friend in Egypt who could lend him money. People thought he meant his uncle, but I didn't think so. If he had meant his uncle, he would have said it clearly. His words sounded more like he was talking about a close friend of his own. Also, he somehow found just enough money to go to Egypt. His uncle refused to give him even 1 cent, but he still had money to go back to New York. Someone must have lent him that money. All of that sounds like a weak theory, I said. But there's more. Hastings, sometimes people say something in a symbolic or poetic way, but others take it literally. The opposite can also happen. In this case, the young man said something clearly and meant it literally, but people thought he was just speaking in a dramatic way. Young Bleibner wrote, "I am a leper," but no one understood that he really believed he had the terrible disease of leprosy. That's why he killed himself. What? I shouted. It was a clever plan made by a wicked mind. Young Bleibner had some small skin problem. He had lived in the South Sea Islands where leprosy is common. Ames was an old friend of his and a well-known doctor. He would never question what young Bleibner told him. When I got here, I wasn't sure if the killer was Harper or Dr. Ames. But I soon saw that only the doctor could have done these crimes and kept them secret. Then I found out from Harper that Ames already knew young Bleibner. Most likely at some point the young man had made a will or bought life insurance that would give the money to Dr. Ames. The doctor saw his chance to become rich. It was easy for him to give Mr. Bleibner the deadly germs. Then the nephew, full of fear and sadness from what his friend told him, killed himself. Mr. Bleibner, even if he had planned to change his will, never actually did. His money would go to his nephew, and then to the doctor. And Mr. Schneider? We don't know for sure. He also knew young Bleibner, remember? He might have guessed something, or maybe the doctor thought that another strange death with no reason would make the story about the curse even stronger. Also, let me tell you something interesting, Hastings. A murderer often feels a strong wish to do the same crime again. Killing becomes easier each time. That's why I feared for young Willard. The figure of Anubis you saw tonight was Hassan, dressed up on my orders. I wanted to see if I could scare the doctor, but it would take more than a ghost to frighten him. I could tell he didn't fully believe that I thought the deaths were caused by magic. The little show I put on didn't fool him. I was sure he would try to make me the next victim. But even with the cursed sea, the terrible heat, and all the annoying sand, the little grey cells still worked. Poirot turned out to be completely right in what he believed. Some years ago, young Bleibner, while drunk and joking around, had written a joke will. In it, he said he left my cigarette case you like so much and everything else I own, which will mostly be debts, to my good friend Robert Ames, who once saved my life from drowning. The whole case was kept as quiet as possible. Even now, people still talk about the strange series of deaths connected to the tomb of Men-Her-Ra. They believe it proves that an ancient king took revenge on those who disturbed his tomb. But as Poirot pointed out to me, that belief doesn't match real Egyptian religion or thinking at all.